There have been at least one. There is one. Words. There is one word. No, there is one Druid circle that is primarily tanking focused. The circle of the moon, where you take more powerful animal shapes to take damage and deal more damage and be more combat oriented. This subclass, the Circle of Iron, a subclass dedicated to keeping nature from being overwhelmed by humanity and civilization, just as the other subclasses, just in the Druid itself. But this is also for standing in the way of civilization and staying, not budging. So without further ado, let's get into that. Oh yes. Hello, welcome back to DIS. I am this idiot, and you will be hearing me speak and review on the Druid Circle of Iron. So without further ado, let's get into that. Alright, the Circle of Iron. Druid Circle of Iron. Duncan watched the foolish looters enter the glade, each armed with weapons and tools that give no false meaning in their stance. Duncan knew they were here to open the grove of the Owl Lord. What they needed to know was why. Wanting to give the group the opportunity to walk away, Duncan came out of the tree and made themselves known. The group tried to make small talk, but Duncan saw them were to spread and reach for weapons. They had a hunger in their eyes that only treasure and knowledge could satisfy. Treasure and knowledge would not only destroy them, but murder every village and city within 100 miles if they were successful. Duncan was not going to let that happen. Taking from the forest floor a thin branch, Duncan called on the power of the circle and turned it into a primal weapon, then covered their body in thick iron bark, making their own position on the matter plain. The group hesitated for a moment, but chose risk over reason, like many adventurers before them. Calling down the power of storms and wielding their primal weapon with fury, the adventurers were shown their place. More than once were they able to drive a blade into Duncan, with which they felt the powers of nature come to their aid and grow iron bark over the wound. The adventurers were outmatched and realized they were looking at their own doom. Fortunately for them, Duncan needed answers and was in no mood to question corpses. With each one struck to the ground, moaning in pain, but all alive, Duncan relaxed and spoke to each one in quiet, pressing tones. The answer they claimed was not clear nor presented a pleasant solution, only a name and a place far outside the forest that Duncan guarded. Knowing that a journey needed to be made, Duncan called on the beasts of the forests to take the adventurers to the far side near a road. They didn't need to deal with more bodies, and this way they couldn't warn their benefactor before Duncan could get a hold of them. Circle of Iron. An old tradition that has become rumor and legend among people living beside the great iron forests of the world. They talk of ancient beasts that call the woods home, and an order of warriors who were born of the trees that defend them. Though legends are given grandeur, there is truth in the desire to protect the ancient places of the world where powers that would tear the foundations of civilization apart sleep. The Circle of Iron are both protectors of nature and civilization, and they will never budge from their duty. Iron Woad Defender. Starting at 2nd level, after you take damage from a creature, you may use your reaction to spend a spell slot to gain a number of temporary hit point, HP, equal to the level of the spell slot times 5. Iron Bark Weapon. Starting at 2nd level, you may add your proficiency modifier to the damage of any attack using your shillelagh. Wrath of Iron. Starting at 6th level, when you make an attack action with your Shillelagh, you may make 2 weapon attacks instead of 1. This does not stack with extra attack from another class. True Iron Bark. Starting at 10th level, the spell Barkskin is no longer concentration, and when cast at higher levels increases the minimum AC benefit. At 4th level, AC 18. At 6th level, AC 20. And at 6th level, AC 20. And at 8th level, AC 22. Eternal Defender, Final 1. Starting at 14th level, if you are ever brought down to 0 HP, you may instead be at 1 HP and immediately gain the benefits of Iron Woad Defender as if you had used a 9th level spell slot, and may immediately make an action. You regain the use of this ability after a long rest. On to the review itself. On to the review of the A Circle of Iron. So, the story, it is interesting. It is a bit bland in order for purposes of the Druid itself. I think it is a bastion of strength against the forces of civilization and nature against each other, protecting the ancient forests from civilization, knowing that there is powerful beings in the ancient forests that could destroy civilization at a moment's notice. That slumber there. So that is cool. I don't think any other druids or druid circles really talk about that. Iron Woad Defender, using a reaction to regain temporary hit points. Excuse me, no COVID. I am actually have the vaccine, so that's good. So temporary hit points equal to level plus 5 times 5. So at lower levels, it's just 5 up to 45 temporary hit points, which is nothing to laugh at, but is not amazing. Let's see here. Iron Bark weapon. You have Shillelagh, a more powerful version of Shillelagh, where you add your proficiency modifier, so just a +2 now, but at higher levels it goes up to +6, which is nice, to the damage of any attack using your Shillelagh, which is nice. Wrath of Iron at 6th level. With Shillelagh, you do 2 weapon attacks instead of 1. That's nice, since it's like instead of an extra attack. True Iron Bark, because I believe Shillelagh also doesn't like scale up like other cantrips. True Iron Bark, 10th level, you have an improved bark skin, so it's no longer concentration, and at higher level, when you're upcasting at higher levels, increases the minimum AC benefit, which is really helpful. So at 4th level, it's AC 18. At 6th level, it's AC 20. At 8th level, it's AC 22, which is pretty good. And a good, I think it's a good push and pull of using higher level spell slots for higher level AC, because it's usually just base 16, that's it. And then Eternal Defender at 14th level, when you're brought to 0 hit points, you may instead be at 1 hit point, like the like the Orc Relentless, kind of. But you also gain the effects of the Iron Woad Defender as if you had used a 9th level spell slot. So that's at 45 temporary hit points on top of that, with an action that you can still take. And that's only once per long rest, so that's pretty powerful, but it's a one-time use, which is nice. So if any of these are too overpowered or underpowered, I do not think so. I think they also scale up as you level up too, or use more resources, which I like. I would say the Iron Woe Defender is kind of like the Circle of the Moon's ability to heal while in wild shape, as I think it's a bonus action using using your a spell slot, and it's I think a D8 per spell slot plus your wisdom. Here's just a flat level spell slot times 5, and it's a reaction, which is nice. It's only after you take damage, so it's a little weaker, but I think it's still just as good. The proficiency modifier is nice. It's almost negligent at lower levels, but at higher levels, if you have a +5 to wisdom, and then you have the +6, so it's a +11 on top of everything. So would be a D8 +11 to hit. That's a lot, but that you're also at least 17th level, so that's just maximum. Everything is epic. 2 attacks as a Shillelagh, because Shillelagh does not increase at higher levels, which is kind of unfortunate. And then so that's nice. I don't think that's too overpowered or underpowered. True Iron Bark, that is really nice. I don't think that's too over or underpowered. And then Eternal Defender is nice. It is a bit underpowered because it's just 45 temporary hit points, which can be run through pretty easily. But, using that action and everything, that's pretty nice. It is kind of close to the Circle of the Moon, except you don't use Wild Shape, and you are getting temporary hit points, and you're using more weapons than like Wild Shape combat, which I like. I don't think it should be another subclass, of course. The subclass is nice. I think it stands on its own 2 feet. Tell me what you think of this. If you think it's too overpowered, or if it's too dependent on these 2 spells, or whatever, if you're watching, I hope you enjoy this. Let's see. Okay, it's still going. Last week it was weird. Join me next week for the Monster Hunter Fighter subclasses. Cool. The next week will be a longer one, because it's very interesting. Because there's different subclasses, looks like, for different ways you're attacking, which is cool. So join me next week for that. That should be very interesting. But yeah, this is the Druid Circle of Iron. I think I did tell you that I have been starting to stream last week. We got a couple. Along with this, we've got just a couple viewers, which is fine. But just keep talking about that. I am looking to create a Squarespace for different artists and creatives like that. People who are creative in that aspect, maybe artists or illustrators or animators or writers or what have you, to have a community that has all of their stuff. We're just kind of combining all of our resources, so it's kind of easier to set up and a easier place to showcase your art or your products. If you're interested in that, let me know. If you want to reach me, you can comment down below, or you can email me at disidiotspeaks@gmail.com. I have that. What else? I am thinking soon-ish, about once a month, doing like a live stream YouTube thing as I just kind of chill and chat with you if you want to talk. I mean, there's no one there, so probably not. Anywho, yeah, I think that's it. Tell me what you think of the Druid Circle of Iron, if it's too overpowered, underpowered, if it's too dependent on something. I would like to know more about that, and I want to see this in action too. So if you want to see this in action with me, let me know. No here. Yeah. This is a previous episode. This is the channel, so like, subscribe, click the notification tab, share, all that fun stuff. And I will see you next week for the Monster Hunter Fighter subclasses, plural, with some different fun stuff there. I've got to get out there. That's just kind of stretching and cuting out. But anywho, previous episode, channel, like, subscribe, have fun. Don't die. I don't want you to die, really. And have fun. Keep yourself active and healthy, and enjoy life, and make sure you are doing well. Self-care is very important. Anywho, see ya. This idiot out.